Well, obviously, super disappointing loss. You tip your hat to Air Force. They made plays when they needed to, but it's hard to win games. You lose a turnover battle 3-0. I mean, it's hard to overcome, and that's, like I said, super disappointing. We've been taking care of the ball, but that's kind of what plagued us at the beginning of the season. And, we've been doing pretty good about that. And obviously, that first turnover was a huge one. We were moving, had some momentum, kind of lost some momentum when Walker got hurt. First couple of series playing well on defense. Then they had that long drive to kind of, I think it was like a 16 play. It was a long drive. But we still have to find a way to come back. We had the ball to start the second half. We have actually made field goals today, which is not the thing you want. I mean, we settled for too many field goals. We got to find a way to put the ball in the end zone. But like I said, it's hard to win when you lose the turnover battle 3-0. I mean, it's hard to overcome. So tip your hat to them, and we've got to find a way to come back and get ready for Nevada.
Coach Vic Aquino, SB Nation. Kind of stemming off that, I mean, nothing's this season's been easy. Everything's been tough, and it's like grinding sort of season. But what's kind of the theme that you keep through each game, even within the game, to the players?
Well, like I said, just super disappointed with their turnovers. I mean, that's what we got to do. We got to take care of the ball. We got to knock that ball down. You know what I mean, over there, and not take the safety. You know what I mean. There's a bad play, but the message now is like we just got to come back and just want to know. We can't think about the next 3 games and trying to get all of them. We just got to try to get this next game, but we got to prepare for Nevada. Tip your hat off to Air Force. That's not the team you want to trail. I mean, you don't want to chase. You want to make them chase you, and because of the way things happened at the beginning, we were chasing. That makes it tough because they can stay in their rhythm. They grind the clock. They stay back. They make you throw the ball in front. And so, hats off to them. It was a great game plan on their part. But you got to find a way. You can't fall behind those guys, and you can't turn the ball over. I mean, you lose 3 possessions, and with a game with minimal possessions, that can't happen. So, the message is find a way to move on and try to get the next one.
Got it. And then, Coach, after the first 2 opening drives, holding down Air Force, and it looked like they did some offensive line adjustments. And what was sort of the readjustments back to that? Because it looks like they were just kind of.
It was typical Air Force.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually changed. They kind of went back to more on the center. They'd been more in the shotgun a lot through the whole season, so they went back to kind of their old school Air Force and just tried to grind it out. And their plan was obvious. Keep the ball away from us, grind the clock, snap the ball with a couple seconds left to keep our offense off the field. And then we pressed too much, We just, because you don't get the ball and you press a little bit. We just had to stay within ourselves. But we're trying to press. But it was typical Air Force stuff, the trap, QB follow, zone dive, which they've been known to do for years, the toss. I mean, they've been running that for decades, and it was their typical stuff. And, they operate at a high level with that. But they changed a little bit this week in that they went more to under center than they had been in previous games.
And for Walker's interceptions, from your perspective, do you think they were coming from bad reads on his part, or was it just more of the Air Force kind of disguising stuff on defense?
There's probably the other one he could have, could have went backside, could have changed his read. I don't want to talk too much about what it's about, but he probably could have thrown to another guy. I'll just say that.
And then what is your assessment of how the defense did this game?
Did some good things, you know what I mean? But like I said, the complementary football part of it, like, when we score, trying to get them off the field, we couldn't do that. So I had a chance to get them off the field late. Unfortunately, we couldn't. But they played better than they had been. We'd given up a lot of points, but our defense played better. I thought they fought hard, to their credit. But that's a good offense, and we held them down better than they had been. But yeah, we got to get more stops and got to get more touchdowns.
And then is it at least a little encouraging to see that the 2 kicker system between Lynch and Matthias Brown is working?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would have figured that out earlier in the season, that one guy's the right hash and one guy's the left hash. But yeah, encouraged, but discouraged because we settled for too many field goals. I mean, and then you see the score. I mean, we settled for 4 field goals. We got to find a way to score. And some of the stuff was too far for me, feeling that we could go for it. But yeah, we settled for too many field goals.
Coach, you mentioned Air Force was kind of just doing things very well on the defensive side. They're also able to get some batted balls and just get some general pressure up the middle to Walker. What did you see from their D line?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them credit. I thought they did a really good job, in twisting and getting their hands up. I think they recognized they couldn't get there, but they were okay with that. And just if they got close, and just try to, we call it match hands with the ball, and they did a really good job of that. And obviously that hurt us. Sometimes we had too many batted balls down, too much pressure, and so we got to get better at that.
And I know everyone knows kind of they're a run based team, but was there any surprise just how skewed the pass attempts were to the run attempts this game?
For them,
Yeah.
no, that's them. I mean, they'd been throwing the ball a little bit more this season, but not a ton.
Mm-hmm.
For Air Force to throw a ball a lot is in 12 times. You know what I mean? So the thing that was different, they're under center a lot more this game, and you can just tell they're just willing to grind it out, just keep the ball away from us, play keep away, and play coverage, stay back. Their plan was, was pretty simple what they did, but it was smart and it was effective. And when you're ahead, you can do that. And our plan the whole game was we got to play ahead of those guys because, like I said, that's the way I played for years, and so I know exactly what they were trying to accomplish. But like I said, when you get those many turnovers early in the game, it's you're playing from behind. Then you play right into their hand. If we would have got ahead, then they might have thrown the ball more, but they didn't need to. They were just going to grind it out. They're happy to go 3rd and 4, 4th and 2, and go for it. I mean, they basically played 4 downs.
Hey coach, Hadi Barghouti, Spear Spartan Daily, and the safety was the first one the team had given up since 2019, which was caught by Radcliffe in the end zone. Is that a play where you think he should have just tried to knock the ball out?
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, you can't catch that ball. You got to knock that thing down. I don't know if just reaction, whatever, but yeah, you got to know where we're at on the field. Obviously there's some scenario stuff we got to cover, but yeah, you're in the end zone. You definitely want to catch the ball. You got to knock that ball down.
And then obviously kicking uncertainty throughout the season, but Dennis Lynch tonight was 3 for 3, marking his best performance this year. Have you seen him become just more confident as the season has progressed?
Yeah, I think we just, like I said, just play to his strengths a little bit. Just keep the ball in his hash. He's a left-footed kicker, likes the right hash, and he's done really well there. And Matthias on the left hash. But like I said, I'm grateful they made field goals, but I'm not grateful because we settled for too many field goals. We got to score touchdowns against those guys.
Niles Hall with the Spear. Tuesday after practice, you said you were unsure about the level of intensity of practice. How was the rest of the week of practice, and do you think that played a role in the loss?
I mean, I thought our next day was fine. You know what I mean? But, just going into it, a big overemphasis is just in taking care of the football. That was my biggest message for us offensively is if we could take care of the ball, we could move the ball on them and score. But we could not turn the ball over. And on defense, the biggest thing was have good eyes, which I thought for the most part our guys did. But, my worst nightmare came true just with our turnovers in the first half. I mean, that was the one thing that could beat us. And fortunately, we did it in a horrible way. I mean, those 3 turnovers, like I said, and they're down in the red zone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not good.
And then what did you think of the unnecessary roughness call in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I'll just say it was a huge call. It's gonna be 2nd and 10. And you got Air Force right where you want them. You don't want Air Force 2nd and 6 and 2nd and 5. In fact, I think we might have stopped them behind the line of scrimmage. But I don't know. I got to see it. Sometimes people let it go. It's in a, I don't know. I gotta look at it.
Hey, Coach, Matt Meyer with the Spear. Now, post-game, do you think that you guys prepared well enough to come into this game for success?
Well, I got to take that on myself because we didn't play well to start the game. You know what I mean? And so we obviously didn't play it nearly as well as we did offensively that we did the prior week. You know what I mean? And so that's, we got to look at it, what happened. But like I said, you feel like you're moving again. It's almost a little bit ditto of Wyoming. We're moving this, and then Walker gets hurt, and then we sputter again. You know what I mean? And so we gotta get our backups ready to go, and they gotta be able to come in and operate and do things. But yeah, that was almost ditto of what happened in the Wyoming game. You're moving the ball, and Walker gets hurt, and then we kind of sputtered it. So we got to look at our reps, even though the backup guys do get reps. But we got to look at some of those things to make sure that that everybody's ready to go. Yeah, but you got to look at that. I mean, obviously, 3 turnovers in the first half is not a that's a horrible way to start the game.
And then with Walker's injury, where he came out for a few plays and then came back in, he looked a little shaky coming back. Do you think that had anything to do with the injury, or do you think it was just bad reads?
Well, I think it took away some of his mobility. It took away, you could see some of his deep balls. He couldn't really step into his throws, which he normally has a lot of. I mean, the kid's got a strong arm, but he's been banged up with his shoulder, and then with the leg, now he's not able to push off. You could tell that it affected him on some of his deep throws.
And then just going forward, the message in the locker room for your guys.
Yeah, the message is got to go 1-0. Our guys are hurting. I mean, that's like, again, a tough loss, but like I said, you go 3-0 in the turnover battle. Same thing. Getting guys off on 4th downs, scoring in the red zone. Those are things you got to do to win, and we didn't do that tonight, so we didn't deserve to win.
Vic Aquino, SB Nation. Walker, how hard was it to kind of regain your sort of personal momentum after coming out and coming back in throughout the game?
Yeah, no, I think the offense did a good job of trying to try to get in the move. There were some personal mistakes that I had that affected the whole team. 2 turnovers and big time scenarios where we're marching out of the field. You can't really do that. As well as later in the game, just knowing the sticks and getting the ball out to a route that get a first down.
And with Nate, sort of with the shift that happened on the offensive line with Nate being out, did that have some kind of maybe on the back of your mind some effect?
Not for me. I think the O line did a good job. That's a good D line, and they did a couple things and a couple stunts that sort of got us a little bit. But they gave me a chance to continue to make a play, and that's all I could ask them for. And they've been doing an outstanding job.
Then what was Air Force doing, especially in the first half, to kind of get you out of rhythm?
Yeah, we on film it wasn't the exact thing that we were thinking, and again it just goes back to being the leader of the offense. I got to be able to see what they're giving us and not try to force things and just take what they give us. I thought all around offensively the guys did great. Defense battled their butts off, and they gave us multiple chances. I think again just goes back to a couple plays on my part that just need to be able to turn the other way.
And then Leland Smith and Kyrie Scholes made some great catches. Just what was it like to see them kind of, especially Kyrie coming back to the ball and making a nice play there?
Yeah, no, I mean, we knew that they're great receivers. Everybody looks at Danny, and Danny is that type of guy, that he should be looked at in a certain way. But, the guys on the outsides have been making plays, since week 1. And it just goes to show that, those are 2 really, really good receivers that, teams don't really think about. And they continue to make plays every single game.
They just mentioned about 2 turnovers on you. Was that more just something like Air Force was disguising their looks very well, or was that more just a bad read on your part?
I would say bad read. I think they're a tough team. They're smart. They're definitely good at what they do. And they got us in some positions, and I just need to be able to play better.
And obviously they run the ball a lot, which concludes, with them having a big time possession advantage. Was there more of an emphasis this week on hey, we need, we're not going to get a lot of chances to try and score? And do you think that kind of went into the result tonight?
That's just an unnecessary pressure. We trust our defense, and our defense gave us plenty of opportunities. You could say they could hold the ball, but our defense played an outstanding game. And again, it just goes back to co-plays by me. I'm the one that has to distribute, and I'm the one that made those mistakes.
Hey Walker, Hattie Barghouti, Spear Spartan Daily, and Steve Chavez Soto. Now 2 consecutive games, a lot of big runs. Take me through his performance, and what have you just seen from his development?
Yeah, I think he's been doing an outstanding job. For a young guy, he just puts his head down and comes to work every single day, always trying to get better. And him and Lamar, that's a tough run game to stop. They've been doing a great job.
And obviously now 6 wins could get you guys a bye. Or sorry, could get you guys into a bowl game. And it's just the mentality from here 1-0 from each week.
Yep, still just 1-0.
Hey Walker, Matt Meyer, the Spear. What was the message to your guys on the offensive line coming back in the second half? It looked like you were being pretty vocal coming into that first possession.
Yeah, I think what we were talking about in there, and we talked about just going 1-0 and just going 1-0 every play. I think, again, they did a great job. There's just a couple plays that I need to be able to capitalize. I thought we were moving the ball. It's just we got to be able to finish.
Hey Walker, Niles with the Spear here. I saw Air Force's defensive front was like a little bit more physical. They got a healthy pass rush on you. Did that play a role in your decision making today?
I wouldn't say it played a big role. I mean, it's normal for a team like that to, try to bring a lot of pressure. And I thought the O-line handled it really well. I think there was a couple plays I just need to do better on.
No, the first couple drives, obviously, you were pretty lights out on their offense. What adjustments did they make? I mean, it seemed like they did some adjustments up front. And how did you try to adjust to that during the game?
Yeah, early on they were doing things we expected. We just stayed in what we were doing. They made some adjustments, getting out to the perimeter, and we kind of made adjustments a little later. But regardless of their adjustments, I think if we just played our type of defense that we should every week, we should have been okay. But yeah.
And what is it like having to do with like a triple option offense where they don't really pass the ball too much? And that's kind of the focus.
Yeah. Triple option offense to just make sure you're on point every play. You can't have your eyes in the wrong place. And unfortunately, I think we could have done a better job. But like I said, they made adjustments, great adjustments, and we'll come back next week, learn from them, and move on.
And then dealing with the team like them, they try to like milk the clock and keep the Spartans offense off the field. Just what is that kind of like for you guys, kind of having to deal with that like extended time out there?
That just our coaches just harp on getting the ball out. Obviously, a team like that, possessions are everything. So I think we just needed to find a way to get the ball out, and that's something we'll work on.
And then what was it like for you to just kind of see Jalen Thomas, Jordan Pollard get some really big hits on the quarterback and kind of mess?
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they're on my team, and I'm not getting hit like that. But it's just, it's something that we expected from them all year, and I'm just finally happy it's coming. Especially in a game like this with Air Force.
Hi, Niles Hall with the Spear here. Over the season, you guys played a couple run-heavy teams. What's the mentality in the second half when a team's just running the ball down your throat?
It's nothing's gonna change. If they're running the ball in the first half, they're probably gonna run it in the second half. So we just gotta stay true to our techniques, our calls, and not try to do anything spectacular. And just play each play.